Well, good evening and welcome to St. Patrick's Park in Westport. It's a beautiful Saturday evening as the countdown continues here to throw in for the start of the match of the day in the second round of this year's Mayo Senior Football Championship. It is the meeting of Westport and Ballintubber. Let's take a quick check on the teams before we get underway, starting with the home side, Westport. They field, as selected in your match programme, the names that jump off the team sheet, the likes of Owen McLaughlin, who's picked at number 2, Lee Keegan at 8 alongside Brian O'Malley, and up front Fionn McDonough picked at centre forward and Mark Moran at full forward. The joint captains of the Westport team are Niall McManaman, the cornerback, and Oisin McLaughlin at number 12. Looking then at Ballintubber and Enda Gilvary, well, he's made 2 late changes to the team listed in the match programme. Number 18, Miles Kelly, replaces Noel Geraghty. And number 17, Brian Murphy, is in for Gary Loftus. The names that stand out: Diarmuid O'Connor partners Jason Gibbons in the centre of the field. And up front, Cillian O'Connor on the 40. And Stephen O'Malley, who had 3 points last weekend against Mayo Gaels, he's named at full forward. Well, the weather conditions, as you can see, are absolutely beautiful. Big crowd in, about 500 tickets sold in advance, another few hundred expected to turn up on the evening, and well they might. John Maughan is alongside me. John, it is a meeting of 2 of the genuine title contenders. Westport, very hot favourites, and Ballintubber, outsiders coming into the game. Is that the way you'd see it as well?
It is, as you rightly say there, Mike. Fantastic atmosphere, a lovely crowd, and a beautiful evening for football. But as you said, the guiding experience of Ballintubber in particular, they have all that in abundance. Westport with a lot of quality. I think they had 7 or 8 on the Mayo senior panel at one stage, albeit maybe 1 or 2 of those might have been injured at different times. But they have a lot of quality, and I am expecting that they might prevail here this evening, but I'm expecting a close battle. I think Ballintubber certainly won't lie down. They won't make it easier for them, and the experience and guide of the Jason Gibbonses and Cillian O'Connor and Stephen O'Malley, incidentally, who happened to be up at my house during the week hedge cutting for me with a big tractor, 10 times bigger than the man himself. But yeah, he's in a rich vein of form and obviously loves his football. But Ballintubber, yeah, very, very experienced. So I'm just really looking forward to it. Hopefully it will be a good game. It is certainly a contest that's mouth-watering, and one that we're all anticipating should be a cracker.
Well, if you're wondering how players prepare for big games, big championship games, well, there you have it. Stephen O'Malley cutting John Maughan's hedge during the week. But both teams coming into this game this evening on the back of impressive wins a week ago in round 1. Westport, well, they made very short work of the Neil, ran out 29-point winners, while Ballintubber, well, they had 9 points to spare in the end against Mayo Gaels. As we pause here at St. Patrick's Park in Westport in the shadow of the Reek for our Ron Navian. Well, I should have said there, Ballintubber ran out 12-point winners against the Gaels last weekend. I chalked a few scores off for them, but they were far too experienced and far too streetwise for last year's intermediate champions. But this will be a much different test. 2 teams with genuine ambitions of winning the Mo-Clare Cup. Our referee, by the way, Gary Owen McMahon from Davits, his linesmen Jerome Henry and Rory Carell. John, everybody has been wondering during the week about the matchups, and already I see Lee Keegan has gone to centre back on Cillian O'Connor, and Ilorna Porca, Fionn McDonough has moved in to go toe to toe with Jason Gibbons. So tell us, what do you make of those particular matchups?
Well, I mean, you flagged it just off air before we came on here that that was possibly a matchup. Lee Keegan going to centre half back. That'll certainly suit him, and it'll be interesting to see how that works out between himself and Killian O'Connor. I think did I see Joe Geraghty from Ballintubber, who was picked at 6, has gone into middle of field. So you'll expect a number of changes, and throughout the game, maybe a few others as well.
Well, a third matchup to tell you about. Owen McLaughlin is picking up Diarmuid O'Connor. So there's 3 to whet the appetite. Ball in, game on. Westport attacking the goal away to our left-hand side. It's the town end here in Westport. It is Ballintubber playing down towards the Newport end of the ground. There's a slight breeze blowing in Ballintubber's favour, but it's actually blowing down towards the right corner. So it may take a bit of getting used to, as Keelan McDonald is fouled on his way out with the ball, and a chance for Miles Kelly, late inclusion in the Ballintubber team, to get a touch and get his hands on the ball. Now Alan Plunkett, he's one of 5 players in the Ballintubber squad that have won 5 senior championship medals. So much experience. Their last big win, of course, back in 2019. Here's one of the men looking to win their first senior championship medal this season, Jack Welsh, young cornerback, looking for Killian. Ball knocked away by Brian McDermott. Lovely, delicate little touch, and a free to Westport. Here's Keegan, nominated for an All-Star again during the week. He's won 5 already. Will he make it a record-breaking 6 when the All-Stars are handed out next month? Ball into the full forward line, looking for Pat Lambert, just caught in behind, and a chance now for Ballintubber to build from the back as Killian O'Connor drifts back into his defence to get his hands on the ball. Wearing 11, those white bicycle shorts again have been fished out of the gear bag for the second week in a row. That's a tug on Killian's jersey. Down he goes, free in. Ballintubber with Stephen O'Malley, the furthest man forward. Ballintubber having to deal with a sweeper though. Joe Grady has just dropped in front of the Ballintubber full forward line as Martin Connolly and Shane Conway just try to keep things tight in these first couple of minutes. So free in, Killian O'Connor out of his hands, dropping dangerously, bounces away to the right. Diarmuid was trying to make a run across to get on the end of it, but just too much pace on it, and it drops away to the right and wide. Here's Paddy O'Malley, the Westport goalkeeper. Spent the summer in Chicago along with so many other Mayo club and county footballers. Strokes this first kick out over towards Fionn McDonough. Ball broken down, won by Killian O'Connor. And now charging through goes the wing back, Hugh Geraghty, one of 3 Geraghty brothers. He struck that beautifully, and Ballintubber are out in front.
Yeah, but it was Jason Gibbons climbing the tallest on that kick out there from Paddy O'Malley and getting a good break on it. And yeah, very incisive there, and a classy score from the wing half back. And that's a great start for Ballintubber.
So 3 minutes gone here at St Patrick's Park. It's the second round of the Connacht Gold Mayo Senior Club Football Championship. That's a heavy collision. Westport man down. We'll have a stoppage here. It was just a full-blooded challenge. The Westport player has come off the worst. It may be Conall Dawson that was just on the receiving end of that tackle. He has been in outstanding form for Westport this season. Saw him in a couple of league matches. Hit 3 points up in Kong last weekend in round 1, and thankfully is back on his feet fairly quickly there. And just to add insult to injury, the free goes Ballintubber's way. Conall Dawson, wearing 10, of course, played a corner back for the Mayo under-20s earlier this year, as Ballintubber get the game moving again. And Keelan McDonald, so impressive against Mayo Gales, gives the ball to Jason Gibbons, who's bottled up. 4 Westport men got in around him, got tight, put the squeeze on, and away goes Lee Keegan. Westport trying to force the pace here in the first 5 minutes. Oisin McLaughlin, joint captain, cuts in, strikes it beautifully, and the sides are level.
Yeah, classy score for Mushy McLaughlin, but just an indication of the pace and the momentum when they break you down. They swarmed Jason Gibbons around the middle third of the field there and broke with such pace, and that was a very, very clever, smart score for Mushy McLaughlin off from the right hand side, just to bring parity to proceedings here.
So the sides level. Ballintubber lining out this evening, by the way, without Brian Welsh and Michael Plunkett still making their way back from injury. Westport without the likes of Colm Moran, Luke Tunney, Kevin Kane and Killian Kilkelly. That's a really good mark taken by Paul Lambert, another player who was outstanding against the Neil. Pops it to the runner, Oisin McLaughlin. This looks dangerous. McDonough, man over. They're hunting for the goal, and they get the goal. Finbar McLaughlin, the youngest of the McLaughlin brothers. Oisin involves. Lovely, swift hand pass that cut the Ballintubber defence wide open, and it was a terrific finish from Finbar McLaughlin. We're 5 minutes in. Westport, well, they push clear.
But what about the mark from Paul Lambert, arguably one of the smallest men on the pitch here? He just leaped into the air and caught and plucked that kick out that led to that goal. Fantastic catch mid-air, but a great finish for Westport.
Well, you could see from the moment Paul Lambert caught the mark and they moved that ball, they were hunting a goal. They could have taken a point on a couple of occasions. They felt a goal was on, and it was, and it is their 4th goal of the championship in a little over an hour's football.
Yeah, Oisin McLaughlin added, injected great pace and straightened the line and popped it over to Finbar McLaughlin, who had the easy task of bombing it to the net from about 2 or 3 yards out. But you can see the pace of these young Westport boys already.
Finbar McLaughlin started leaving cert in Rice College a couple of weeks ago, but learning fast at senior championship level as Jason Gibbons drives a huge ball into Cillian O'Connor. What a pass. Doesn't call the mark, decides to play on. Chance maybe for Ballintubber to hit back. It's O'Connor to O'Malley, and Stephen O'Malley has shot high and wide. What about the pass from Gibbons?
It was top drawer, and I thought Cillian might have managed to drive on himself. He decided to pop a short one back to Stephen O'Malley, and really Stephen should have converted that. It's certainly an easy opportunity for a point for Ballintubber. Unfortunately for them, kicked it wide.
The Tubber press high and hard on Paddy O'Malley's kick out, gets it away though and finds Niall McManaman. Man who spent a while in a Mayo senior panel a few years ago under Stephen Rochford, gives the pass, goes to take the return. He's a really athletic Westport defender, one of a handful of them. They've got so much pace and running power. Feeds it off to the shooter, that's Pat Lambert, and Lambert just unable to bring it in. That's Westport's first wide after 7 minutes, but the pace they are breaking out of defence at, John, is awesome.
Yeah, they're so athletic and they have power runners right around the park. But just on that last kick out there, that Westport kick out, contested in the air by Cillian, and I see he's down injured now. He immediately went to his ankle. I don't know, did he get an unfortunate trailing leg from one of the Westport boys, but he's certainly down injured and appears to be in a bit of trouble. But yeah, getting back to Westport, I mean, we're all waiting for this Westport team to deliver, and right now you really fancy their chances, and they're driving forward with such great intent and purpose, and looking really strong and mobile and athletic right around the park. So they have huge numbers, big numbers on the bench here as well, and lots of options around the park. And when you see the likes of young Finbar McLaughlin, who scored that goal, just a leaving cert student, it gives you an indication that the conveyor belt is coughing up plenty of talent.
Well, this is a real concern for Ballintubber, for Cillian, and indeed for Mayo supporters everywhere, because he doesn't look right. He is still being treated over on the far side of the field. Now, it's hard to tell at this stage whether he'll be fit to continue. Gary Owen McMahon has let the game restart, and Westport tried to keep the pressure on. Owen McLaughlin, who fed it through. Mark Moran in behind. Out in front was Finian Burke, the Ballintubber fullback. He'll be known around the county as a very accomplished soccer referee. Ballintubber right now playing with 14 men. Cillian O'Connor has still not come into the match. Here's his younger brother, Diarmuid. He has struck that beautifully, and that is a Diarmuid O'Connor special. 8.5 minutes gone. Ballintubber reduced the deficit.
Yeah, and at the moment Cillian is still hobbling over the sideline, and they converted very sweetly there. That was a classic Diarmuid O'Connor point off his right foot, and certainly keeps them in touch.
So really the big score of the game so far, Finbar McLaughlin's second goal of the championship, came here in the early stages. 9 minutes gone, the home side lead by double scores, 1-1 to 2 points. The good news for Ballintubber is that Cillian O'Connor is back on the field again, so we'll just monitor his progress. Right now he's sitting in at left half back as Keelan McDonald gets forward. McDonald shoots, nobody at home in the Ballintubber full forward line. Stephen O'Malley had made a run away from goal and tidied up by Rory Brickenden to Lee Keegan, his county teammate last season. Keegan just checked his run there, didn't take any unnecessary risks, as Joe Grady, who's at the other end of the age spectrum in that Westport defence, he's just 19, the wing back, gets involved, and the ball is now back in the hands of Keegan again. has a quick look up. Plenty of options. Decides to feed Brickenden, who drifted forward, looking to return the favour. Cut out by Brian Murphy. As Ballintubber play keep ball and come out of their own 45. Tug on the jersey of Stephen Burke. Played in a county under-19 league final a few weeks ago. Breaking into the Ballintubber championship team this season for the first time. Killian O'Connor forward to Alan Plunkett. They won county championship medals together back in 2010. So did this man, Milo Kelly. Killian again involved. Diarmid makes the dummy run. Killian takes on the shot. That's not going to carry. Breeze or no breeze drops into the arms of Paddy O'Malley. And once again, it gives Westport, John, crucially, a chance to build. Ballintubber not putting the ball dead.
That's the issue. The one thing their management would be discussed about is dropping the ball short in the keeper's hands because, as I say, they have such pace.
Misplaced pass by Owen McLaughlin and a likewise misdirected delivery by Killian O'Connor, who's still moving a little gingerly, not at full throttle after picking up that knock a few minutes ago. Ball given away one way and then the other. And now Paul Lambert just gets the situation under control again. Played in the All-Ireland Under-20 final back in 2018. Across to Joe Grady once more. Really has bedded in nicely to the Westport defence. That's a good hit by Killian O'Connor on Brian McDermott. Just drove the centre-back backwards for a moment. Stalled his momentum as Keegan again fills in to play playmaker and lets the ball go long. Mark Moran this time has timed his run well. Fionn McDonough breaks right. Paul Lambert goes left. Lambert turns in field. He's got Stephen Burke for company. Sucks in another defender or two. Heading towards the corner. And Keegan now makes himself available if he's needed. Instead, Paul Lambert will go all the way back to Niall McManaman. We're in the 12th minute here at St. Patrick's Park in Westport. Beautiful evening for a game, warm sunshine, little or no breeze, and Westport, the pre-match favourites, setting the early pace. Niall McManaman to Fionn McDonough. Ballintubber have their defence set. They've brought back 13 men. McDonough trying to roll it around the corner. He's picked out Mark Moran. Jinx one way and then the other. So many options for Westport. Quick hands. Ball transferred to the goal scorer, Finbar McLaughlin, and that is a terrific point. Well, I think you can remember the name. 1-1, 12 minutes gone.
I have to say, he's certainly catching the eye. He's a very talented young footballer, and that's a classic score. But an observation there, Mike, was the patience that Westport had. They kept recycling the ball and waited to get to a shooter, and a wonderful score.
Ball broken down by Diarmid O'Connor to Keelan McDonald. Now Killian O'Connor. He and Diarmid, as always, on the same page, on the same wavelength. Diarmid O'Connor trying to turn inside Paul Lambert, who just had a hold of his arm, spotted by Gary Owen McMahon. They thought about the quick free. Instead, they're going to just slow things down a little. As we mentioned at the outset, they're one of the most experienced and streetwise teams in the club championship. And Killian O'Connor just feels this is well inside his range, 45 metres out. I suppose, John, this is a good chance for us to see how Killian is striking the frees, because it's been a talking point since he came back from injury.
Absolutely. Go back to that league final when Ryan O'Donoghue, I think, got a little bit frustrated when that's a super score, and he just gingerly, as you say, hopping on that leg there, so he certainly doesn't feel 100% right, but he kicked that very, very sweetly and keeps Ballintubber very much in touch. But yeah, that certainly is a talking point. Ryan O'Donoghue, when Killian was out injured, was kicking the free so brilliantly well, and there was a lot of controversy over the fact that he was dropped, so to speak, from the free kicking duties of that league final and handed over to Killian, and Killian didn't have his best day with a couple of frees he had on that occasion.
Well, that was a sweet strike from Killian O'Connor. That's not a bad run from Oisin McLaughlin, but he just ran down a blind alley. Ballintubber got plenty of bodies in around the ball carrier. 1-2 plays 3 points here in Westport. The home side out in front, but this game is already living up to expectation. Ball being moved at such pace from one end of the field to the other. And certainly when both teams are in possession, they are going for it. Diarmid O'Connor looking for the run of Alan Plunkett, but the pass was overcooked. Westport had 2 or 3 men there covering in front of Plunkett, as Lee Keegan looks as fresh as a daisy, comes out of the Westport half, gives it to Mark Moran. 2 years now since he put in that man of the match performance for Mayo against Galway in the National League. Everybody waiting to see what he can do in this season's club championship. as they are watching Fionn McDonough. This man in action as well. So much potential. Now Joe Grady trying to take his man on the outside. Nothing doing. Has to go back. Looks for McDonough. There was a push. And that will be a free in to Westport. Well, the threats from a Ballintubber point of view, John, they're coming from right, left and centre.
From Westport, Mike, but at the same time, the guile and the experience of the Ballintubber team is very obvious. If there's any delay in the transition of the ball from Westport defence into attack, Ballintubber get big numbers back, 13 behind the ball, and they're so effective and so smart.
15 minutes gone. That free is struck away to the right from Conall Dawson. Westport's second wide. Down at the other end, Ballintubber have dropped 3 shots short. So both teams leaving a few scores behind.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And Ballintubber are very much in the game, and Westport are playing all the football. But as I say, the smarter team on evidence in the first 70 minutes are Ballintubber. They're getting bodies back. So I think we have a fascinating contest in play here.
Ball broken upfield by Brian O'Malley, picked up by Brian McDermott, man who lifted the All-Ireland Intermediate Club trophy at Croke Park back in 2017. That's a foul, free into Westport. Fionn McDonough brought down. Well, when they run hard at that Ballintubber defence, you can see they're scrambling. Ball is now being brought forward because I think there may have been a bit of back chat from Joe Geraghty, or certainly he didn't get out of the road quick enough, but the pace is causing Ballintubber some issues.
And it's coming from everywhere, from the full back line, half backs, they're very, very athletic. Paul Lambert here and Joe Grady, young Joe Grady, raiding, so often and with great purpose, and certainly they are boring holes, and if they can sustain this, they're so athletic, you would feel that there's certainly a bucket of scores here for Westport.
That was a handy one for Pat Lambert, who filled his boots up in Cong last Saturday against the Neil. He is in prime position for the Golden Boot Award after one round anyway of the Senior Club Championship, but a lot of football still to be played. Westport lead 1-3 to 3 points as Ballintubber managed to secure possession from their own kick-out. Brian Murphy just looks around, decides nothing on upfield, so happy to go backwards to come forwards. Diarmuid O'Connor waits for the run to his right from Jack Welch again. Back to Diarmuid. Ballintubber just biding their time. Westport have the sweeper in again. Joe Grady is sitting in front of Stephen O'Malley. That cuts off the long direct ball, and it means Ballintubber have very little option here but to wait patiently for a gap. Diarmuid O'Connor, the solo was high and it was loose. He was being fouled though by Finbar McLaughlin, says the referee. Diarmuid will take the free. Again, he's looking for Stephen O'Malley, but the problem is O'Malley is in a sandwich between Rory Brickenden and Joe Grady, so the free goes short. Here's Kieran Gavin. Haven't seen much of him in the first quarter. He's got Pat Lambert after him, Diarmuid O'Connor, and now Jason Gibbons, who's yet to really flex his muscles in this first half. Man of the match in round 1 against Mayo Gales. That was really cleverly done by Brian McDermott. He just scooped the ball out of the hands of Keelan McDonald, and after all that patient play from Ballintubber, they've lost possession. Westport go long. Brian Murphy, though, sitting in front of Mark Moran, intercepts that ball, and now Ballintubber get another chance to try and stitch a move together.
Difficult afternoon for the two full forwards because Mark Moran has a sweeper sitting in front of him invariably, and likewise with Stephen O'Malley. They've obviously identified those two lads in particular as being a score threat, and both teams have deployed a sweeper, so the long ball is rarely on, Mike.
Hand on the back there of Milo Kelly. Mark Moran was just the judge to have given him a nudge at the wrong time. Free to Ballintubber. It'll be taken by Killian. Just looking for the right run, decides to go long, knocks it in towards Alan Plunkett, but who's there but Lee Keegan? Who else? Reads it so well. Back to Brickenden, danger cleared, and now Paul Lambert will race out of that Westport defence again. There's acres of space in the other half of the field. Brian Murphy is back now, sitting in to sweep. He's the +1 as Westport move the ball from the right to the centre, and Conall Dawson heads toward the left wing, and Owen McLaughlin is out here waiting for the ball if needed. Mark Moran just sitting in front of Finian Burke as Westport slow it right down again, and Lee Keegan will feed Niall McManaman. We're in the 20th minute now of the first half. That Finbar McLaughlin goal, that's what separates the teams. And no doubt Westport looking very comfortable, John, on their home pitch. You were saying before the game it's a little tight maybe for their liking, but they're used to it.
Yeah.
And so far Ballintubber just struggling to get to grips. Here's Owen McLaughlin trying to come in around the back. McLaughlin at high speed has drilled it high and wide.
Yeah, certainly a great opportunity to tap the ball over the bar there. But maybe, people would suggest, McLaughlin, he's very athletic, but came into football rather late. And we all know that he was a fantastic cyclist in his day. And a little late, and you can see just a little deficit in his skill set there. That was certainly an opportunity to punch the ball over the bar, and he didn't do so.
Well, Westport have never won a senior football championship. Last played in the final back in 1991, beaten by Hollymount on a wet, cold, miserable day in Castlebar. Charlie Lambert, who played in that final, his sons Paul and Pat lining out for Westport today. The three McLaughlin brothers have all showed up well so far. Owen, Oisin and Finbar with the goal. And Ballintubber, who are looking to rack up their second successive win. Just right now have a little bit of catching up to do. Fionn McDonough, lovely ball off the outside of the left boot. It's Lambert again who punches the hole. This is Joe Grady. They could be in again. It's Mark Moran. It's Keegan. Goal. It's the five-time All-Star and the former Footballer of the Year, Lee Keegan, who hits the Ballintubber net after 21 minutes. It was poetry in motion.
It was, and they were queuing up, and that's, again, a quality ball from Oisin McLaughlin over to wing half-back Paul Lambert. He's been very incisive and very impressive in this opening half. And he just popped it onto a plate to that man, Lee Keegan, who finished it with great purpose. But they're just beginning to bore holes now. A lot of frustration coming into the Ballintubber play. They're turning the ball over cheaply, giving the ball away a couple of times in the last few minutes. And a little bit of frustration kicking into Ballintubber's performance. You can see it right around the park.
Well, Lee Keegan back with a bang. He'll be 33 next month. Everybody hoping and expecting him to go again for one more year with Mayo in 2023, and whoever's here from the Mayo senior management, John, they will have been nothing but impressed with Keegan in the first 22 minutes.
Yeah, he's been just a star. He's a name that's synonymous with Mayo because he delivers when it matters most in big games, and he's just a quality, arguably the best footballer I have seen in a Mayo jersey. And to see him here, he's a great club man, and to see him out here playing with such class, it's easy on the eye for viewers.
Yeah, a joy to watch Lee Keegan. He's wearing 8. He's playing at centre back. He's dropping into the full back line, as you saw a few moments ago. He can also play in the full forward line. Fionn McDonough, well, he is really enjoying himself. Cuts onto his right, leaves that one behind. Well, Ballintubber have left 4 shots short down at the other end. This time it's Fionn McDonough who just makes it easy for Brendan Welsh. Westport 6 points up, could and should be further ahead. They are dominant now in this first half. Yeah,
I'm even watching Martin Connolly, their Westport manager here, just beneath us, and there's no panic here because I think at this early juncture, with 23 minutes gone, they're far superior right now to Ballintubber, and they're playing well within themselves, and I feel there's more scores of them, and they're just beginning to dominate every position right around the park. They're winning all the duels, and look, assuming that they can sustain this to the end, you would think it could be an ugly afternoon for Ballintubber.
Well, they met here in the league a few months ago. 2 very different starting 15s that day. Westport winning with a couple of points to spare, but at that stage of the summer, Mayo were still in the championship, and all the county players had other commitments. But here we are, some 3 months later, both teams stacked with big name players, and after 24 minutes it's last year's county semi-finalist Westport who lead by 2 goals scored in the 5th and 22nd minutes by Finbar McLaughlin and Lee Keegan. Free on the far side, Connell Dawson just in front of the clubhouse here at the Westport GA club facilities, which have been improved and redeveloped year on year. Connell Dawson just hasn't caught that on the sweet spot. It's tailed away to the left. That's 4 wides for Westport. and a chance for them to go further ahead is spurned. Brendan Welsh, quick look up, looks for Gibbons, looks for O'Connor. It'll drop in the general vicinity of both of them. Gibbons climbs highest and Jason Gibbons claims the mark. One man up top, it's Cillian O'Connor, but he's in behind Brian McDermott. He's just not moving smoothly, Cillian O'Connor, just caught on his heels there. And Brian McDermott gets it away from danger and out as far as Conall Dawson. Support from Keegan. Continues to roll back the years, Lee Keegan. Continues to make it look easy as Westport play possession football, 2 goals in front and very much dictating the pace and the tempo. Paul Lambert just skips out towards this left wing, then checks inside, and once again there are runners coming from all angles. This is Niall McManaman, Owen McLaughlin. The angles of running are absolutely brilliant. McLaughlin's shot, he's miscued it. And that, as they say, was as wide as a gate. 5 wides for Westport.
Yeah, but the run he made from right beneath us here, about 60, 70 metres away from goal, and he just pulled the choke out after burners and just created that chance. And if he had a little bit more composure in front of goal, he would get a bucket of scores. I think the same applies when he puts on the Mayo jersey, but certainly he's created a huge number of opportunities. What they've got to do, Westport, is go and take the ball from him when he gets into those positions.
It's a second wide from Owen McLaughlin, but as John said, his athleticism, his running power shows certainly his summer in Chicago did him absolutely no harm at all. He is on top of the ground. Still through 2-3 to 3 points. We're into the last 4 minutes of normal time. Ballintubber go long. They're looking for Cillian, who's moved in to the edge of the square. He's gone down again, though, beaten by a combination of Brian McDermott and Joe Grady. And the ball taken clear now by Brian O'Malley, one of the unsung heroes in this Westport team. Does so much of the heavy lifting around the middle. Here he is again. Brian O'Malley over on that right wing. Westport players literally queuing up to get on the ball as Ballintubber just tried to get their second win, but it's not coming all that easily. Just 3 points on the board so far. Paul Lambert wriggling and teasing Milo Kelly. Now he turns infield. Kelly is sticking to his task doggedly. Lambert has support from his brother, and Pat Lambert uses Mark Moran. Well, Westport's form coming into the championship was solid, especially considering they were 8 or 9 players short. Reached a league quarter-final, lost after extra time to Gary Moore. Ballintubber had a very poor league. Here's Keegan. Good save from Brendan Welsh. It was right at him. It was hit like a bullet, and Welsh got his body behind it to push it up and away from goal. And now perhaps there's a quick counter-attack on for Ballintubber. Long ball delivered by Joe Geraghty inside to Stephen O'Malley. For once the sweeper hadn't got back into position, so O'Malley can feed it back as far as Stephen Burke, who takes on the shot. The wind has got a hold of it, and that is well wide of the target, but it was a rare chance for Ballintubber to break at pace.
A rare chance when probably Leroy should have maybe hit the onion bag at the other end, but they did break with great pace and got a long ball into Stephen O'Malley. I feel sorry for Stephen. He's really struggling to get on any kind of quality ball in the inside line there. They were interchanging with Cillian, who's probably struggling a little bit as well with that injury, and he's interchanging with Stephen in the full forward line. And when Cillian is in there in particular, they're going long, but they just have no joy because the Westport defence with their full back line has been very, very impressive. In fact, right throughout the park, Westport have been really impressive. Their half back line here, their 2 wing backs, and Owen McLaughlin, who's playing with 2, but playing right up the field here, middle of the field, and Jim O'Connor. He's having a very, very impressive first half here as well.
Play was just stopped there for a couple of moments. Keelan McDonald needed attention. The Ballintubber wing back, he's up again, good to go. And the kick out already gone from Paddy O'Malley. Still, just those 2 goals between the teams. We haven't had a score now for almost 7 minutes. Ballintubber, their last score, a Cillian O'Connor free after 13 minutes. So they're a quarter of an hour and counting now, Ballintubber, since they last scored. As Brian O'Malley clips that nicely out in front of Mark Moran, up on his toes again, making run after run out of this left wing just to open up the space closer to goal. Fionn McDonough, under the watchful eye of Westport coach Shane Conway and the manager Martin Connolly. A little necklace of passes. Now Mark Moran, he just brushes by Diarmuid O'Connor, and Mark Moran has kicked one of the scores of the game. Brilliant effort from Moran.
Absolutely, with Jim O'Connor trying to get down on his boot there, but that's a classy score, the best score of the game from my perspective. And Mark was having a rather uncomfortable enough afternoon in there on Finney and Burke, but just created a bit of space and just managed to get away from Jermut. I thought Jermut was going to block him down, but that was a very, very sweet score off his right foot, and just gives us a taster of the kind of class that we know that guy has, but we haven't seen too often.
Well, that now means that 5 of Westport's starting 6 forwards have scored, and Ballintubber manager Enda Gilvary is making a change. He feels this attack needs to be freshened up, and number 10, Noel Geraghty, is in. So 3 of the Geraghty brothers now on the field, Joe, Hugh and Noel, and it's Stephen Burke, young man who kicked that wide a few minutes ago. He's been replaced. Just found the going tough against this very experienced and very settled Westport defensive unit. The home side just tipping along nicely, 7 points in front, quick free into the substitute, into Noel Geraghty, and that's what you call an instant impact. Yeah. Well, Enda Gilvary will have sent him in with instructions, John, and he's hit the ground running.
Well, for once, Westport took their eye off the ball there. They didn't get numbers back. They were a little bit slow moving away from the free kick situation. He was completely free, but he struck it exceptionally well. And it was a sweet score, a badly needed score for Ballintubber.
They're first for 17 minutes in this first half. We're into stoppage time at the end of the first half. Ball breaks kindly for Oisin McLaughlin. Keegan is on the run again, and he's got the ball. Pulls in 2 defenders. He's looking for the free. Gary Owen McMahon says nothing doing. So now it's Conal Dawson's turn. It's Finbar McLaughlin, in fact, and you can chalk it down. Well, beautiful feat from Finbar McLaughlin to wriggle free of the 2 defenders. That's a goal and 2 points for the teenage corner forward.
Well, I tell you now, if I'm assuming Mayo management have this game covered here, that certainly his name will definitely be chalked down as one to watch, because he's been very, very impressive. A goal and 2 points, but as you say, he's so elusive and quick feet there, and to make a little bit of room for himself and kick the sweetest of points off his left. That's a classy score, no doubt.
Well, considering, of course, he's a younger brother of Owen and Oisin, where would he leave it when it comes to pace and fast feet? But you'd imagine he will also be on Maurice Sheridan's radar with the Mayo under-20s for next season. As the final whistle sounds, Gary Owen McMahon calls for the ball after 32 minutes of a really enjoyable first half here, played in glorious conditions at St. Patrick's Park. And that scoreline more or less speaks for itself, John. Westport 2-5, Ballintubber 4 points. Westport by far the better team.
There's no question about it, and I kind of see them taking their foot off the pedal here. They want to send out a marker, so to speak, and certainly they've been really, really impressive. They're very, very athletic, and likes of Oisin McLaughlin, Lee Keegan could have had more goals. There's a bucket of scores in them, and they can tidy up that aspect of their game. They're certainly as good as there is in this for this senior county championship, but very, very impressive performance. A little bit, the Ballintubber performance has been a bit laboured. You can see, maybe the age profile of a number of their so-called better known players or stars of the past are just beginning to leak a little bit. And I'm talking Jason Gibbons, I think he was man of the match last weekend. Killian struggling out there. Jermut is having little bursts of the class that he has, but other than that, they're beginning to leak in most positions, and I have to say very, very impressive from Westport in that first half.
So just the 1 point then from Ballintubber in the last 20 minutes of play. That came from substitute Noel Geraghty. The Westport goals coming from Finbar McLaughlin after 5 minutes and Lee Keegan after 22 minutes. John, last word from you for the moment. If you were in the Ballintubber camp, where do you start? How do you try and get back into this game, or at least curb those Westport runners?
I think it's a difficult position for team manager Enda Gilvary in that Ballintubber dressing room right now. They have played a very defensive style, but the runners coming from deep, Paul Lambert, Owen McLaughlin, even young Hugh Geraghty, was Joe Grady, a young wing half back. They're coming with such purpose and pace, and he's got to get his half forwards and his full forward line in particular glued tight to them. I don't know how they stop the runners, because because they're coming from all angles. And Westport are just a threat, particularly down this left flank in that first half with Paul Lambert and Owen McLaughlin. They've really caught the eye. But it's a difficult afternoon. I think the body language of some of the Ballintubber players going off there would suggest the game is up for them. And I think it's a question of respectability, hanging in there, not take a whipping, because I feel at this juncture Westport, I won't say they're home and host, but they're as close to as being home and host.
Yeah, Westport certainly justifying those hot favourites odds so far, but still a half an hour to play. You'll hear a lot more from John before the evening is out. Pierce O'Reilly telling me before the game, Ballintubber translates as Town of the Well. They'll have to go to that well early and often, you'd imagine, in that second half if they're going to get back into this game. Half time at St Patrick's Park in Westport in the Connacht Gold Mayo Senior Club Football Championship. It's Westport who lead Ballintubber 2-5 to 4 points. We'll be back with second half commentary shortly. And you're very welcome back to St. Patrick's Park in Westport. The half-time refreshments just being finished up here. Huge thank you to Westport GA Club for their hospitality, and in particular Willie McDonough and Ger McDonough, who did such a terrific job putting the commentary position together and also delivering the half-time refreshments here to the press area. It's much appreciated as the teams are back out for the second half. Just looking around, doesn't look to be any changes by the looks of things. We'll just keep an eye on the sideline to make sure Hendy Gilvary and Martin Connolly haven't caught us on the hop. But the ball is in, second half is on, and it's Ballintubber who will be playing from right to left towards the town end. There's an early shot, an early chance, and the breeze has caught it and pulled it away, well away to the left and wide. 6 wides now for Ballintubber. They're chasing down a 7-point deficit, and they have it all to do in this second half, John.
Yeah, no question about it, Mike. Just talking about them off air there at half time. Yeah, Westport are very athletic, very fit looking, and the age profile would suggest they're not going to run out of steam. So I'm expecting a big performance from Westport in the second half, and they will want to put down a statement, and they certainly have done that in the first.
Well, we'll have a fortnight's break after this weekend's round 2 matches in the senior, intermediate and junior club championships, when Westport and Ballintubber do re-emerge in 2 weeks' time. Westport will play Mayo Gales at a neutral venue in round 3. Ballintubber will take on the Neil also at a neutral venue. That game between Mayo Gales and the Neil also throwing in at 5 o'clock over in Mayo Abbey this evening. Foul here on Pat Lambert as he tried to wrong foot the defender, and this gives Conal Dawson another shot at goal. Now, he had a few attempts in the first half, hasn't managed to hit the target yet. Well, practice makes perfect. That's a flawless kick from Dawson. That now means all 6 of the Westport forwards have scored. Yeah,
and just looking at the flags here to our left, it appears that that was Wins assisted, but nonetheless an impressive score. A rather lazy tackle there from Joe Geraghty, when a bit of pace came at him. Joe just took out the foot there and gave away a rather ridiculous free kick, but well converted by Colin Dawson.
Just to give you the half-time score in that other game in the group, it couldn't be much closer. Mayo Gales 1-2, the Neil 5 points. That was the last we heard from Mayo Abbey. Stoppage here. Fionn McDonough has picked up a bang. Player who's been in the Mayo squad now for the last 4-5 seasons. He has had his fair share of injuries though in the last couple of years. That's really stunted his development, but no doubt, John, if Fionn McDonough gets an injury-free run, he has an awful lot to offer.
Absolutely. I mean, he certainly burst onto the scene a couple of years ago, and right around the country guys have been asking me, he's in UL, isn't he? I think he played with UL in the Sigerson Cup. I watched him play in the Sigerson Cup earlier on this year, but yeah, he's certainly a talent for sure.
Yeah, I might have sent you wrong there, John. NUI Galway, you were on the right page with the Sigerson Cup, but won a Sigerson Cup medal with NUI Galway.
Right. That's right, yeah.
Beat UL in the final.
That's right.
Conal Dawson has just clipped over another point for him, 2 in a row, and all of a sudden that lead starts to grow slowly and surely. It's up to 9 points now. Westport 2-7, Ballintubber 4 points, as Ballintubber try to get their big players on the ball. The big players being the O'Connor brothers and Jason Gibbons. Here is Stephen O'Malley, gives it back to, that was James E. Finnerty. Now, just looking around that Ballintubber forward line, Cillian O'Connor has not re-emerged by the looks of things. Yeah. Just looking around that starting Ballintubber forward line. So James E. Finnerty is on and Cillian O'Connor is off. So he hasn't been able to shake off that injury, John, by the looks of things. That's a real concern now. Absolutely,
yeah. I had noticed that at half time, but you're right. He obviously was labouring there in that first half since he picked up that injury from a kick out. But yeah, Cillian's a huge loss to him. But I just get the impression, looking at the body language, that it's just now all about pride and keeping some sort of respectability on the scoreline, which they're struggling to do at the moment.
Here's Mark Moran kicking this free off his left. He's a two-sided player, very skillful footballer. Pushes that free though away to the far side. 6 wides for Westport. The latest kick from the boot of Mark Moran. But now Ballintubber, well, it's a real uphill struggle. They've fallen 9 points behind. Cillian O'Connor off. So the full forward line now, a 2-pronged attack of Jamesy Finnerty and Stephen O'Malley. Jamesy Finnerty was a very good footballer, another man who's had his fair share of injuries in the last few seasons, but if he gets the ball he can do damage. Right now Ballintubber struggling to come out of their own defence. It's Jack Welsh slips it forward back to the substitute. That's number 17 Brian Murphy. Started the game in the Ballintubber full back line wearing 17. Now Jason Gibbons striding forward. Fionn McDonough is after him. Keelan McDonnell makes a supporting run. Diarmuid is up there if he needs him. Ball is played with the boot along the floor in front of Stephen O'Malley. Covering across is Joe Grady, very tight to the sideline in front of the wall, the ball wall over on that far side, and the linesman flags it in Ballintubber's favour.
Yeah, so I think it might be a free kick. No, I think I'm not quite sure. I thought Gary Owen penalised the Westport man there, Joe Grady, who went down the ball. I think this is actually a free kick. Yeah.
So the free is struck with the outside of the boot by Stephen O'Malley. Breaks on the edge of the Westport square, taken clear by Paul Lambert. He's got so much pace. Drives away from the would-be tackles, and all of a sudden the danger is cleared and tidied up by Keegan to Paddy O'Malley, who's fished a baseball cap out of his kit bag for this second half. There's a strong sun shining down towards that Westport goal as Keegan just ambles out of the Westport defence. There's a wrestling match going on the edge of the square between Mark Moran and Finian Burke. Westport are trying to work their way down the right wing. Now Moran and Burke have separated from each other, and the ball is back in the hands of Keegan again, right back where Westport started. There's always movement though ahead of the man on the ball, and this time it's Joe Grady who makes the burst just into space to give McDonough something to hit. Now Niall McManaman draws in a few defenders, touched by Owen McLaughlin, but for once Westport just took a wrong option. It got too tight, and Diarmuid O'Connor will carry it clear for Ballintubber. Out across the 45 he goes, heading towards the stand on the far side. One man up top, just one man to aim at. That's Jamesy Finnerty. Just shovels a hand pass back to Diarmuid again, and Keelan McDonnell will try and keep this attack moving. Ball played across the field to Milo Kelly, trying to attack from the half back line. Nice ball. Stephen O'Malley has raced across to this left wing just to spread that Westport back line and move them about a bit, as Joe Geraghty decides to use Jack Welsh, and Jack Welsh to Jason Gibbons, who we just heard in the lead up to the game may have been carrying a knock coming into this evening's game. He just hasn't been at his best, Jason Gibbons, so brilliant against Mayo Gaels in round one.
Well, yeah, maybe Mike, he could have benefited from another week's break. He's at that age where games coming thick and fast mightn't necessarily suit him.
Diarmuid O'Connor to Jamesy Finnerty, and back to Noel Geraghty. Westport's defensive shield is in place. Now Jason Gibbons comes on the burst. Gibbons taken down in full flight. Free in. He was trying to come down the barrel of the gun. So many Westport players around the edge of the D, and they will give away the free, and happy enough.
Well, it's the first time in quite a while since I saw any Ballintubber player make an incisive run like that, and certainly stuck to what should be an easy free tap over free here for Stephen O'Malley. But yeah, it just gives an indication that that man Jason Gibbons, if he can keep that going or sustain it, he certainly he's one player in particular, that Ballintubber side, who can maybe get these Ballintubber team motoring.
So Stephen O'Malley pops over the free, 2-7, plays 5 points. Short kick out from Paddy O'Malley to Keegan. Ballintubber man down injured. Gary Owen McMahon, I think, just wants to check on the injured party before the play will resume again. And in fact, he's going to grab a quick word, I think, with Jerome Henry, his linesman on the far side. Ballintubber man who's down injured, by the way, is Noel Geraghty.
Yes, and because it appears to be a head injury, that's why Gary Owen held up the play. Were it not a head injury, he would have played on. But certainly he seems to have got a smack of some kind. I didn't see what happened there, and I don't think it's too serious. But it's an opportunity to get into some water, because, as I say, it's a beautiful evening, very, very warm here, and a bit of hydration going on both sides right around the park here.
Well, there was an electric atmosphere here in the half an hour before the game got underway. It continued for much of the first half, but you can just feel now the noise levels have dropped off. That sense of anticipation has been tapered a little. Westport dominant, 8 points in front. Yellow for Keegan, so he'll have to be on his best behaviour. He's in the book, but you can just sense Ballintubber supporters, they're waiting for something to shout about.
I don't think it's going to happen for them, unfortunately, certainly with Killian gone. But the uncertainty of outcome is what makes football and sport so entertaining. And we had that before the game, and the anticipation of a good contest. And unfortunately, Ballintubber just have been outplayed. Like, I mean, they're playing against a superior outfit here this afternoon, and there's no embarrassment of that. But that's the sad reality that Ballintubber probably have played their best football in the last number of years, and they just begin to wane a little bit. And here's an up-and-coming Westport team, and a lot of pressure and expectation on their shoulders, and I can understand a lot of Westport people are getting a little bit excited because they see real potential in this Westport side.
So Diarmuid O'Connor has taken over the free-taking duties. He's a beautiful striker of a ball off the floor, and that free sails over. It was 50 metres easily, and Diarmuid O'Connor hits it right over the black spot. 2-7 to 6 points.
Yeah, classy score. There's no question. That was a really, really top drawer score from off the ground. And just hanging in there, which is good. 2
in a row for Ballintubber. They've been outscored 1-5 to 3 points in the last 25, maybe 26 minutes, as Finbar McLaughlin, who is really enjoying himself, runs into a heavy challenge from Gibbons, free out for overcarrying. Well, the exuberance of youth there. Finbar McLaughlin just wanted to keep on keeping on. Gibbons stopped him in his tracks, and now Ballintubber sweep back down the field with Keelan McDonald. Stephen O'Malley, they call him Bales in the Ballintubber dressing room. You'll very rarely hear any of his teammates shouting Stephen out there. Another Ballintubber sub in, Josh Mahan, another of the under-19 team. He's been brought into the Ballintubber attack as Enda Gilvary just rolls the dice and continues to freshen things up. Long ball in towards Mark Moran, beaten by the bounce. Joe Grady's delivery. I think Westport there were looking for the free. Gary Owen, McMahon not interested.
Yeah, Mark Moran is claiming they got a little nudge in the back from Finbar Burke. That's been an intriguing contest all afternoon. Those two have really sparked up one another and bringing out the best in one another, so to speak. But Marcus had a tough enough afternoon, just 1 point from play, and he won't forget Finian Burke for a while.
Well, I know there's huge interest in this game all around the county and beyond this evening. And I know among those watching right now are some of the Ballintubber GA Ultras. The Duffys are tuned in Portland, Maine, in the United States of America. And we must send our best wishes to Chris and Sarah, who are getting married this evening. But waiting for Ballintubber and Westport to finish up first, John. That's your kind of thinking.
Absolutely, yeah, I know for sure. But I just go back there to Finian Burke there from Ballintubber. Yeah, just Mark Moore just caught flat-footed there, but Finian Burke is one player on the Ballintubber side who has embellished his reputation somewhat there this afternoon, playing very impressively.
Now Ballintubber on the attack. This will be a chance for them perhaps to make some more inroads into that deficit, but just as quickly as the gap appeared, it closed again. As you can see, Westport forcing them wide, then forcing them backwards and making every hit count as Keelan McDonald tries to get away from Paul Lambert and Finbar McLaughlin. Now Alan Plunkett takes over, clips it into the centre, but nobody at home except Fionn McDonough. That attack is broken up, and just look who else is back there. Mark Moran, the full forward, as Westport drift back the field to close up the gaps, and now Fionn McDonough will spray it down this right hand side. Oisin McLaughlin could have taken the mark, decides to play on, fouled by Josh Mahan and Jack Welsh, and Westport have a free in.
An opportunity for Conor Dawson, would imagine, off his left foot. It's within his striking distance, having kicked one in the second half from a similar position. But just looking at Ballintubber's last couple of attacks there, they just turned the ball over so cheaply. Very, very frustrating. And I'm sure some of the older players, Jason Gibbons and Diarmuid O'Connor, would be really, really annoyed and frustrated with the way they're turning the ball over so cheaply. It's particularly inside in the full forward line there. So yeah, that's a poor miss. But look at Westport really haven't pulled away in the second half like I expected, and that would be a slight concern for them. They have laboured somewhat. in the second half. I thought they would drive on and really kick on with a big score, but they're, as I say, they're struggling ever so slightly to just pull away from Ballintubber.
Well, Conal Dawson is having a mixed evening from the frees, a mixed bag. He's missed 3, scored 2, and Westport's wide count up to 7. So that gives Martin Connolly, Shane Conway and Kieran Gerrity, along with Pat Grady, something to work on the training ground ahead of round 3. That is, of course, assuming they kick on to win here, but win, lose or draw, Westport will hope to play a lot more football in this season's club championship. But as John said, Ballintubber are just hanging on in there, and nothing a goal from the Tubber wouldn't fix, as Keelan McDonald takes on the shot, and Paddy O'Malley, just for a moment there, he was backpedaling, he was scrambling, but just as Paddy plays the pass away, he makes that universally recognisable signal of just calm it down. I think he may be talking to himself.
I think he was saying, I had this completely under control. I think that was actually creeping over the bar, and he got a hand up to prevent a point in that scenario there. But just unfortunately from Ballintubber's point of view, just an opportunity spurned, because they certainly could have done with a point there.
That's now 5 efforts in the game that Ballintubber have dropped short so far. Paddy O'Malley keeping a clean sheet to this point as Mark Moran looks for Brickenden, who was coming at high speed. Brickenden manages to swing a boot at the loose ball. Can only direct it though as far as the waiting Brian Murphy.
A little bit sloppy, Mike. A little
promising
bit
attack, but petered out quickly.
Yeah, certainly a goal opportunity. Mark Moran, if he had been a little bit slicker with that ball to Rory Brickenden, he had beaten the cover. He was in for a one-on-one with the goalkeeper. But another opportunity spurned for Westport, and that's been a bit of their Achilles heel here this evening. And I'm sure Martin Connolly will be a little bit concerned that they're not converting their scores. There hadn't those goal chances that they created in the first half, and there again in the second, they just aren't availing of them. And that's, when it comes to the latter stage of a championship, assuming Westport, or if they do get to that scenario, they've got to be converting those half chances.
Yeah, it's certainly an area they'll need to tidy up ahead of the next round, but certainly one area where they are really impressing is that work rate, and the turnovers, well, they're mounting. That was Conal Dawson's hard work that wins the free and slotted over by Pat Lambert. Well, Pat Lambert is a player who made quite a few headlines after round 1. He certainly caught the eye, you'd imagine, of the watching Mayo coach Stephen Rochford up in Cong last weekend, and whoever is scouting here today, I'm sure, watching him closely, as the kick out comes from Brendan Welch, won by Brian O'Malley. O'Malley, McDonough, Keegan around the middle, giving Westport the platform as Oisin McLaughlin comes flying in off that left wing again. Plenty of support. It's his young brother Finbar who gets his hands on the ball. Oisin gives it back to Pat Lambert, takes on the shot. That is some score. Well, Pat Lambert, when he gets a half a yard, he's absolutely lethal.
Yeah, that was a classy score, no question about it. But Oisin McLaughlin injecting pace into it, and that just gives another example of the quality that this Westport team have. They've such energy and athleticism in practically every position. You see Rory Brickenden right up there join the attacks as well. So lots of talent and lots of quality.
2-9 to 6 points, 9 between them again. This is certainly a much bigger lead that most people would have anticipated at this stage of the game. Still a good 12 minutes to go plus stoppages, but Westport setting the pace as they have done from that early Finbar McLaughlin goal. It gave them the perfect start. It put them in the ascendancy, and really they haven't looked back. Now Diarmuid O'Connor trying to take the game to Westport, looking to go by Finbar McLaughlin, taken down. And I think Gary Owen McMahon wants a word with the young Westport corner forward. Diarmuid O'Connor just taking a moment to get back to his feet. Again, we talked about work rate, John, a little earlier. Diarmuid is emptying the tank, but just in terms of end product, hasn't been there. Yeah,
that's true. But nonetheless, I know people would question he had an indifferent season in the Mayo jersey, and there were one of the issues that's been talked about in my circle is, can the likes of Kevin McStane's management team get the likes of him going, get Matthew Ruan going again? Can they get more out of those guys? And I think if Mayo are going to have any say in the latter stage of a championship next year, the likes of Diarmuid O'Connor, they'll be expecting big things from him. But again, he is really working his socks off and has been been quite impressive here this afternoon.
Stephen O'Malley makes no mistake off the free. Diarmuid O'Connor's hard work and industry. O'Malley with the finish, 2-9 to 7. That's a second score for Stephen O'Malley, who was another of the Ballintubber players who made such a big impact in round one, but it's been a big step up this evening. Westport will fancy their chances of going deep into this competition and looking to go at least one better than they did last year when they were beaten in the semi-final by Belmullet, as Ballintubber tried to spend more time inside the Westport half. That's Josh Mahan to Alan Plunkett. Now Diarmuid O'Connor, who gives and takes the return. Just a little goose step there from Diarmuid, caught in two minds. Fionn McDonough and Diarmuid going flat out for the one ball, and it's tidied up by Ballintubber, and they will go again. Josh Mahan to Noel Geraghty, trying to come in field and weigh up his options inside to Finian Burke. Man who hurls with Turin, the Ballintubber fullback. He's a versatile all-rounder on and off the field. Here's Alan Plunkett again, looking to knock it around the corner for Diarmuid. Support run from Gavin, and that's a heavy tackle by Niall McManaman on Hugh Geraghty, in fact.
Yeah.
And that is a free in for the Tubber.
Well, credit where credit is due. Ballintubber certainly haven't thrown in the towel here. They're working extremely hard. There's that man, Finian Burke, who has had a fine game in the number 3 jersey, marking Mark Moran, and he certainly nullified Mark Moran's threat. But he's getting more advanced up the field and bringing a little bit of a thrust to their attack. But again, they're working extremely hard, and Stephen O'Malley has converted 3 frees here in the second half, and it's really justified because they haven't thrown in the towel, Ballintubber, and I admire them for that.
Gap back to 7 points now. Worth remembering, of course, the bad news for Westport's opponents in the weeks to come is that they are still awaiting the return of a couple of very good players, among them Colm Moran, who we expect to see back on the field soon, and another has just literally come bounding into the match. Killian Kilkelly returns to the Westport forward line. It's Finbar McLaughlin who's been called ashore. 1-2 in the first half for the young teenager. Yeah. And Killian Kilkelly, great to see him back after injury.
There's no question about it. Another classy footballer. I've watched him for years. Really, really impressive. But it just gives an indication of the depth in their squad. Young Finbar McLaughlin was hugely impressive there in that first half. A delightful footballer, and we'll see a lot more of him, I'm sure, in the future.
Killian Kilkelly, of course, son of Brian Kilkelly, the former Castlebar Mitchells and Mayo footballer. Played in the All-Ireland final of 1989, was a member of that Mayo squad, and his son Killian slots into the Westport full forward line. That's a heavy challenge, another one, another stoppage. Looks like Pat Lambert, who's down and needs attention.
Yeah, I mean, this game has been played in the right spirit, but that certainly was an ugly tackle. Maybe it was clumsy. I'm not quite sure. It's a black card territory, but and I think it's yellow. But certainly it was a very, very clumsy tackle by, was it Joe Geraghty? I think it was Joe. It was a little bit late, is how best I could describe it.
Yeah, Joe Geraghty's in the book, yellow for him. Both teams with 4 scores in this second half. They've divided 8 scores between them. Conall Dawson with 2, Pat Lambert with 2, while in response Stephen O'Malley has potted 3 frees and another place kick from Diarmuid O'Connor. So Ballintubber haven't managed to score from open play in this second half, but in case you've joined us late, they did lose Killian O'Connor to injury at half time, and that has certainly blunted their attack as we swing into the last 7 minutes of normal time here at St Patrick's Park and the second round of the Connacht Gold Mayo Senior Club Football Championship. Killian Kilkelly, nice ball to Mark Moran, who was just an inch off from delivering the perfect pass to Fionn McDonough. Now McDonough has it, shoots with that trademark snapshot, just off balance, just off target. Would have been a lovely score. It
would have been a lovely score, and it was another half a goal chance. Just that final pass, just not slick enough, and certainly Martin Connolly will be a little bit frustrated and disappointed. In fact, the second half, while it has been closely contested and it's been a reasonably good battle, it hasn't given us the quality that I was hoping and expecting for it, particularly from a Westport side.
7 wides from Westport. That's a sloppy pass out of defence. It allows Fionn McDonough the chance to make amends, and Fionn McDonough makes no mistake. Now all 6 of Westport's forwards have scored. We were waiting on Fionn McDonough.
Yeah.
And he has delivered in the 54th minute to make it 2-10 to 8 points.
He took his time. I was expecting maybe a booklet of scores from Fionn coming over here this afternoon, because he certainly has the quality and the talent. But worked extremely hard. But on the scoreboard, that's his first score, as I say, in the 54th minute. I had anticipated and expected he'd have at least 4 or 5 to his name this afternoon by now.
Chance for Ballintubber maybe to construct something here, but Stephen O'Malley has found the going tough in there. Joe Grady has played that +1 to absolute perfection, and it's telling the amount of times as well he's got forward to play the final pass into the Westport forward line. He's not a name, John, that will be familiar to too many people watching outside of Westport, Joe Grady. He's just 19. He's come through the underage academy here, but he looks like a proper senior footballer.
Absolutely, very, very impressive, I have to say. And Paul Lambert, obviously, who's been playing here for years. But Paul, both the 2 wing backs of the Westport team, they're so athletic, and they're so quick and pacey, and they're always looking for the opportunity to get up the field. I have to say, Joe Grady, a guy I wasn't familiar with coming over here this evening, but he has been really, really impressive.
Well, he's from a family steeped in Westport football. His dad, John, who wore the Westport colours for years. As Ballintubber come forward, but one of their players, Jack Welch, I think it may be, or Keelan McDonald it is, in fact, just a little slow in getting back to his feet, back in the Ballintubber defence. The other wing back, Hugh Gerrity, still driving forward. Here he is, Gerrity flies just over the crossbar. Well, Hugh Gerrity was nearly in for a rare and pretty wonderful goal there, but just flies over the crossbar.
Yeah, certainly a foot lower. That was definitely in the back of the net. It would have beaten Paddy O'Malley all in. So, but just as I say, quite impressive from Ballintubber. Without Killian in the second half, they have refused to bend, and I'm sure the Ballintubber management will take encouragement into Galvary in particular. He's emptied the bench. He's got into 3 or 4 of his subs. He's had a good look at them, and they haven't been whipped. They're 7 points down, obviously, and they've been well beaten, so to speak, but they haven't thrown in the towel, and that's been impressive, and that's what you would expect from a Ballintubber team anyway.
Well, Keelan McDonald is not going to be able to continue. He picked up a bang in that last passage of play, and he's being forced off, so Enda Gilvary has to reach into the dugout again to make another change, and it's a real pity to see Keelan heading off. Very good soccer player with Ballyglass, now committing himself to the Ballintubber cause, and he's been replaced by Gavin Roach for these last few minutes in the Ballintubber defence. And Gavin Roach has gone straight on to Lee Keegan. No, in fact, he's handed that job over to Jamesy Finnerty. I think Jamesy's drawn the short straw.
I think so. You won't thank him for that.
Well, Lee Keegan just stood still there, let everybody else do the running, and the ball finds its way to Brian McDermott. Here he is again. Keegan has, how shall we say, conserved his energy in this second half. Now he pops up again. He did most of his damage in the first half, looking for the run of Killian Kilkelly, who seems pretty confident it's going to be a 45, but the umpire doesn't agree. I think Killian is just giving him a piece of his mind there, but it comes too little really to affect the final outcome. 2.5 minutes to go, 8 wides for Westport.
Yeah, but I think getting back to that man, Killian Kilkelly, I think Westport people would be thrilled to bits to see him getting a bit of game time, because on his day he is a really, really classy inside forward.
Good to see as well before the game this evening, just out on the field on his own with a few footballs, was Kevin Kane, just getting in some shooting practice. He's making his way back from a cruciate injury as well, and I know everybody hoping that Kevin will be back in action sooner rather than later. What a huge loss he is to Westport, as Shane Scott gets on the ball. He's just been introduced a moment ago by Martin Connolly and Shane Conway. Westport trying to negotiate their way through that Ballintubber defence, but ball touched on the ground, free out. They really have, John, when you think about it, an absolute wealth of options on the bench.
And experienced players. When you see the likes of Shane Scott, who has laboured and toiled with this Westport team for, it seems like decades, but to have that kind of guile and experience off the bench, the aforementioned Killian Kilkelly, really, really great talent, but to have buckets of options and a lot of youth and quality in their team. I'm really, really impressed with them here this afternoon.
So Paul Lambert is down and will need attention. Speaking of quality and youth and options off the bench, Westport are about to spring Luke Tunney any moment now. Another of the Chicago contingent, spent the summer in the States, back just in time for club championship, and he'll replace Connell Dawson for the last few minutes. So it's Tunney for Dawson, and that just underlines the point that John was making, because of course, as we mentioned earlier, Colm Moran still to return.
Absolutely. I mean, they have a reservoir of talent, and I'm just looking at some of them. They're quite baby-faced looking. They look like little young fellas, but certainly they can play. And it's good for football, and it's good for Westport. I know they have been working extremely hard to get to win a county senior title, and I think they have as good a chance this year as anyone.
Here's Mark Moran, still probing, still looking to make something happen. Finds Killian Kilkelly in the corner. He'll call the mark, and you'd imagine Killian Kilkelly is going to settle here and try and kick a score, looking to mark his return to action here at St. Patrick's Park. He hasn't struck that well though, and as they say in the business, he'll be disappointed. That's wide number 9.
He will. It was a poor effort, but obviously a guy just that's coming back from an injury. It'll take him a while to get his shooting boots on, but that was a very poor effort to kick it wide on his near side. But nonetheless, he's in the action. He'll benefit from this afternoon's workout, and I'm sure in the next fortnight he'll improve further. And the likes of, we mightn't see the likes of that effort again from Killian.
Well, as we said at the outset, this unquestionably was the match of the day in the Senior Club Championship this evening. But another massive game in this group was the meeting of Mayo Gaels and the Neil over at Mayo Abbey. And the latest scoreline from there is Mayo Gaels 3-9, the Neil 1-7. So that's a big, big win for last year's intermediate champions, assuming they can stay out in front. They're into injury time, you'd imagine, over there as well. And that will mean the game between Westport and Mayo Gaels will be a right belter in round 3, with of course Ballintubber playing the Neil, who will also need to get something from that match if they're to avoid the relegation playoff. Westport come in search of more scores. It's Niall McManaman, and that will probably gloss the final scoreline. Niall McManaman pops up for his first point. The Westport joint captain makes it 2-11-9.
Yeah, very impressive score from the left full back. He had real purpose and intent there, and it fumbled it. He got it back, fumbled it again, but he ended up getting into space and kicking a sweet point off his left foot. But very, very impressive. He certainly has had a fine game indeed. The full back line, Rory Brickenden, who's been on the periphery of the Mayo squad for the last number of years, has been hugely impressive. He's a giant of a young man, 6'4", 6'3" in there, and he's been hugely impressive. But here we are, Mike.
There goes the full-time whistle. I was just about to tell you, Westport 2 clean sheets, conceded 3 points last weekend, 9 this evening, and they run out comprehensive winners here, 2-11-9 points. Those first half goals from Finbar McLaughlin and Lee Keegan. Westport scoring 6 points in the second half, Ballintubber scoring 5, and that more or less underlines what we saw unfold, John, in that second half.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit disappointed with the second half, but Westport were in fact emphatic victors here. They were very, very impressive. They caught the eye with their work rate in particular, and something you mightn't have associated with a Westport team in the past, but certainly the energy and the pace and the quality, the depth in their squad, they're ticking an awful lot of the boxes, Mike, when you're looking at maybe a team that could go on to win a Mulcair Cup. They certainly were very, very impressive. Ballintubber, a little bit disappointed, but when you consider their lost retirees man, Killian O'Connor, at half time, and he obviously picked up an injury early in that first half, he wasn't firing. Jim O'Connor put in a big effort for them, and I thought their full back, obviously, Finian Burke had a fine game, but they laboured in most positions. Jason Gibbons saw little bits and pieces of his quality, unlike last weekend where he was put in a man the match performance. Jim O'Connor, as I said, worked his socks off, but just didn't have enough quality. I think all the quality and the class was in that Westport team, and certainly looking at them there and looking at the age profile of their team, they're very, very impressive. And those guys that caught the eye, you mentioned Joe Grady and Finbar McLaughlin, two young guys that I wasn't familiar with, real quality footballers. Young Finbar McLaughlin the first half, a goal and 2 points, but it was just his movement and that little bit of class that you're looking for an inside forward. And I feel if you're looking at a guy that has a potential to step up, you mentioned onto an under 20 squad hopefully initially, but certainly he caught the eye with a performance. And Joe Grady, and you know, when we were talking about a Mayo senior team and looking what's the future hold, when you see the likes of quality that those guys are producing here this afternoon, you feel there's real hope.
John, I'll get your selection for man of the match in just a moment. Just to confirm the result in the other game in the group, it has finished. Mayo Gales 3-10, the Neil 1-7. That now means Westport top the group with 2 wins from 2. They're on 4 points. Ballintubber on 2, Mayo Gales on 2, and the Neil bringing up the rear, still looking for their first win. And in round 3 in a fortnight, it is Westport against Mayo Gales, Ballintubber against the Neil. Both matches at neutral venues. So, John, the last act of the evening is to select your man of the match.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. We talked about Lee Keegan, who took a break, obviously, throughout the league campaign, only returning last weekend. He was very impressive. Played within himself, very, very comfortable this afternoon. Oshie McLaughlin, really good. Pat Lambert in the second half, kicked a couple of sweet scores. Rory Brickington, excellent. But for me, the guy that caught the eye from start to finish with his energy and his tidy defensive work and his penetrating runs was Paul Lambert. I thought he was really, really impressive. He's a guy that I've obviously watched and seen for years, playing right from under 16 through to minor here with Westport. But he was quality this afternoon and very incisive, created a platform from the half-back line, and he's my man of the match, Paul Lambert. And I'm just wondering, Mike, do you agree with my selection?
Yeah, who am I to disagree with John Mahan? Yeah, Paul Lambert is his selection for man of the match. There were plenty of contenders. I'd have given an honourable mention to Joe Grady myself as well, yeah. But it has finished here in a victory for Westport. I see the substitutes being put through their paces. Ballintubber in a huddle over on the far side, trying to circle the wagons after their first defeat in the group. So just to recap then, the final score here at St Patrick's Park in Westport on a lovely evening for a game. It's finished Westport 2-11, Ballintubber 9 points.